Okay, continuing with my review of Sonic's Gimmicks. I'll be finishing off the Genesis with Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine and Sonic Spinball, the spin-off games in the franchise. So let's begin with Sonic Spinball. As you can see on the card art, you have Sonic Spinball. So I'm going to put this into my Genesis and let's begin. And as you can see, the Sega logo has funny plane, and we see Sonic bouncing off of a springy thing. Okay, so there's almost no platforming in this game. I mean, Sonic can run, he still has his spin dash, he can jump, but mostly the game is this. It's basically a pinball game on your Genesis. You can control Sonic a little bit with the D-pad, but mostly it's ballistic paths. You get points for hitting targets. And the main goal was to use the flippers to send Sonic into the specific targets you needed to collect the Chaos Emeralds. You get cameo appearances from characters from the cartoon. This is Cluck, Robotnik's pet robot chicken. And you can see the bosses all bear Robotnik's face. You kind of bounce around crazily, like, well, a pinball, as was the nature of this game. But one of the real gimmicks that I wanted to talk about was that these two games are the only canon references to the characters from the two cartoon series. If you can see, this is the bonus stage. We're seeing, it's basically literally a pinball. You can see a reflection of Sonic's face. And the aim of the game is to use the pinball to break open these pods. Look, that was Roar to the Walrus from the old cartoon in 1993. And I'm going to keep playing this. There's Bunny Rabbit, just to show you the one and only reference these characters have, Random Monkey, in the game, that the only time they've ever been in a video game. Yeah. So that's just a random dog. I don't recall him being in any of the cartoons. And that's just a flicky. There's Princess Sally. That pink color actually comes from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, because we all know she was brown in Saturn. And then you free Tails, and you bust Robotnik. And the rest of the game is basically this. A pinball game followed by a literal pinball game. So let's move on to Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. If you look at the artwork on the cover, you see that's the Dr. Robotnik from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and you even see Scratch and coconuts in the background. So this is a game that was based off of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, that zany cartoon that predates Saturn by just a few months. Okay, so you see Sega's logo coming in. The thing about these two games is that you don't have Sega. Sega just kind of reveals itself. But we see Dr. Robotnik's face be revealed in lightning, and the good old Mean Bean Machine logo. Now, this animated cutscene at the beginning is hilarious, because, look, that's Dr. Robotnik, Scratch, and Grounder. And just look at his dialogue. I mean, my latest invention, the Mean Bean Steaming Machine, will not only dispose of those fun-loving jolly beans of Beanville, but turn them into robot slaves to serve my evil purposes. Robots, bring me those beans. Look at how he jumps around and acts all crazy, does a maniacal laugh. That was so corny. But basically, this game is a puzzle game. Oh, you can't tell? These robots, I swear, they were in the cartoon. I remember them. Look, that's even Dr. Robotnik's base in the background. So yes, this is pretty true to the cartoon in these robot character designs. But gameplay, this is probably the only Sonic game that doesn't actually feature Sonic. It's basically a cross between Tetris and Dr. Mario. You line up 4 colored beans. If you line up more than one group, you get to drop no beans on your enemy. That's kind of cool. Alright, now let's move on to Sonic Gems Collection. I didn't have a CD, 32X, or Saturn growing up, but this game features Sonic CD, Sonic the Fighters, and Sonic R. Now the game is just worth it for Sonic CD. The latter two are just bonuses. But let's play this. Okay, Sonic CD. Arguably the best in the series, and probably the one thing that really grabs people's attention is that animated opening cutscene. Yeah, back in the Sega CD days, this was pretty much the Sega CD's selling point, that you could have fully animated cutscenes like this. I remember when I first saw this game, I thought I was watching a trailer for a new Sonic cartoon. I was hyped. I mean, look at how he runs, how fast he is. This art style of Sonic was actually used in the 1999 Sonic OVA movie. And if you look at his shoes, you see he already has buckles on them. Now, this game, I think, also came out in 1993. It predates Sonic 3 by just a little bit. And they're already thinking of changing his character design to include buckles on his shoes, even though that wouldn't happen officially until Sonic Adventure came out in 1999. But yeah, this is a great animated opening. It really shows off how cool he is. I mean, it's a pretty epic intro. It really gets you hyped up for the game. And let me tell you, once it actually starts, this game does not disappoint. You see, I think the part that's coming up, yeah, cell for cell, I think this was used in the OVA movie. Sonic rolls down the side of a hill and goes off a ramp like that. That comes straight out of one of the scenes in the movie. So he runs up the chain, and then the game officially begins. Okay, so we have Palm Tree Panic. We have it kind of looks... It looks a little primitive when you compare it to Sonic and Knuckles, but remember, this thing came out before Sonic 3 did. So you have some nice pseudo 3D. Sonic has a new move, the Peel Out. It's kind of like a spin dash, except it makes him run faster. But the gimmick for this game was time travel. See, here I am in the present. Notice how green and luscious everything is. Now I'm gonna break to the future. Sorry, you get sparklies, no flaming contrails. You want flaming contrails, go get a DeLorean. But there's a brief loading screen, and then you're in the future. Like all the grass is dead. The hillsides are covered in metal. That's why they're blue. There are more robots. But now let's go into the past. Let's see what the past looked like. Now that was the basics of this game. Each level was like 3 levels in one. There was a past, present, and future. And you try to go into the past, which is much more lush and green and has fewer robots. You would go into the past and try to find the robot maker and destroy it, and that would make a good future in this act. If you couldn't be arsed to go through every single level and find that robot maker, you could just collect the time stones, and collecting the time stone automatically gives it a good future. But you know, the time travel mechanic is fun to go through. There's the Metal Sonic hologram. I just blew that up. Couldn't bother. I love that Sonic-shaped hole. I included this clip just because I like that Sonic-shaped hole in the wall. Well, let's move on. Sonic the Fighters. This was an arcade game. I'm not sure if it came out on consoles. It looks like a 32X game. I'm not sure. Look at how silly it looks. It's all herky-jerky. This is Sonic's first 3D fighting game. It's kind of along the same lines of Virtua Fighter. Basically you have to collect the 8 Chaos Emeralds. Yes, there's 8 Chaos Emeralds. And then confront first Metal Sonic and then Dr. Robotnik. I don't know, it looks pretty nice, the 3D. I mean, for when this game was made, I think it was 1996. This is some pretty good 3D. Yeah, 1996, according to that copyright date. And, you know, gameplay is pretty basic. It's mostly a button masher, but there's some strategy involved. And it just looks hilarious. Okay, now let's briefly go over Sonic R. This is the first high-speed, I put that in massive quotes, 3D Sonic game. It's pretty basic. You have Grand Prix or Time Attack, basically. And there's only really 5 levels. There's a few playable characters. Everything looks kind of blocky, but that's what 3D looked like back then. We're not going to fault it. I didn't really like this game that much because it's really small and the controls just suck. I mean, when Sonic almost grinds to a halt when you try to make a sharp turn, the levels are really tiny, the courses are short. It was a nice try, but it just wasn't much. There's one more game, but sadly, I don't have it. Sorry.